All right.
All right. Pasta. What is that dish called again?
Alacina.
Pasta.
that right?
Pasta alla assassina.
Alla
Assassina. See, it was something
assassina.
like that. I was close. I got close.
It's so good, especially if you make the olive oil and lemon zest mixture with salt and with some salt and pepper, and then some lemon juice. You mix that bad boy up. You throw that on top of the pasta with some burrata. It is so good. Oh my gosh!
You're talking dirty, man.
I know.
Paprika in there because you started. It was like I just felt like it was raw, you know? Yeah, it's like it's got a little spice in it, you know.
A little spice.
Right.
It kind of reminds me of South Park whenever Randy Marsh calls into the Food Network channel, and it's supposed to be like one of those dirty channels or whatever that you call into, and he was like, yeah, I'm putting are you putting in a chicken on the stove? And they're like, yeah, getting ready to saute that bad boy. And he goes, oh yeah.
That should be the dance too, a saute. Oh yeah.
Saute.
I know, right?
Salsa?
Yeah.
Oh.
The dance.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Have you danced salsa before?
No, that's not.
I don't think I don't think I'm athletic enough right now to do that.
Yeah. It just doesn't sound like fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of does, but
I did learn something interesting this week. I made my brother drive to Florida with me. And
wonderful. At least he drove.
well, that's the best part. He did it.
What?
Of like the 35 hours, I think I hit, I don't know, 6 of them. So, but Saturday night he left and was like, I think I'm going to go line dancing. And it turns out he does that. So.
Was that fun? Did you go?
No, I didn't go.
You didn't participate?
Absolutely not.
What a shame.
Yeah, he got his new boots.
That's unforgivable.
There you go.
Yeah.
Line dancing. All my exes live in Texas.
That's the one.
I ain't never been there. Oh, wait, just lie. I've been there once.
He said he took it up in Alaska, so.
Yeah. Line dancing.
Yeah.
You know, I can't say I blame
Never
them.
done it.
Wise men probably do line dance. Probably a lot of good-looking women line dancing.
Yeah.
You know, you can't go wrong. Women like to dance. I mean, there's women. Yeah, I'm saying that's what he's doing it for.
I don't have a
Is he
cowboy
married?
hat.
No.
Okay, there you go. I'm free. You're not throwing me under the bus, man.
You should get a cowboy hat. You'll feel so much cooler whenever you put it on.
They're pretty cool.
Maybe we go video here soon.
I gotta get a
cow.
Yeah.
Cowboy hats.
Yeah, all cowboy hats. We have everything together. We just walk around looking
Boots
all
and
the time.
spurs.
Everybody get ready to two-step.
Two-step and boogie.
Oh, yes. Well, welcome back to Milkhouse Podcast, episode 7.
Episode 7?
What?
Yeah. Episode 7. And today we're going to talk about deserted towns or cities.
Ooh.
Very nice. But first, Stephanie, how are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well. Living the dream.
Living the dream. Good. Kyle, how are you?
Could be better. Just raining all the time. You know, you gotta love rain, water. We got plenty of that. H2O, boy.
Man,
I think I'm gonna watch The Water Boy when I get home.
I don't think I've ever seen it all the way through.
What?
Yeah.
Man, you're
I'm
crazy.
kind of
sad.
It's like a love-hate thing with Adam Sandler films. Some are just I can watch them and repeat. Other ones I don't want to touch.
Oh man, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, his newer stuff is really disappointing.
But
The
whatever.
Water Boy, though, man. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's like iconic.
Adam Sandler.
Mama.
Ooh, yo, yo, yo.
It's the devil. School's for the devil. Everything's you, devil to you, mama. Can't
Or
believe
a-
it.
Mama said that alligators are ornery because they have all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Well, mama's wrong. That's
Oh.
what-
Kind Sanders, you're wrong. Mama's right.
I feel like I don't need to watch it now. I think
You don't.
Kyle and
We
Ori.
got
No.
quotes in one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
You'll get the whole Waterboy movie from me.
you have
dialogue.
just gained a few notches. My bar right there on Jorge. At least you watch the Water
He,
Boy.
dude, he's a movie buff. He can quote like crazy. And how are you? How you doing, Jorge? How's your
I'm
back?
doing pretty good, man. I'm like super excited for the topic today.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Yes.
Does anyone have any comments or corrections from last episode?
I'm done for
It was just 90s and 2000s.
Yeah.
You couldn't find a picture of those Jinko jeans?
No, unfortunately, I think they
don't
were all
think you
burned in a
looked.
fire.
Yeah,
The Great Fire
yeah,
of
yeah.
Hartford City.
Mhm.
I guess the only comment that I have is that you looked really interesting with the frosted tips.
Yes, your hair
Oh,
was
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
It was very in
Yeah,
sync
I
of
told
you.
you, Ryan Cabrera was the inspiration.
Yeah, you nailed it.
On the
For
way
sure.
down.
Yeah. I did
Whenever I
add
look-
that song to the Instagram.
I know.
Did you?
That was awesome.
Like, that's so perfect.
That was awesome. Yeah, I
Whenever I looked
remember.
at that picture, I could just hear "It's gonna be May."
Actually,
So
he had like a
good.
Jerry curl. That was Justin Timberlake. He didn't have
Yeah.
spikes. He had curly hair.
Yeah, but
Come on, dude.
like Lance Bass I think had the frosted
Yeah, that's
tips.
true. He had the
Not on the
spikies.
same level though, Ryan.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the guy from Sum 41,
Yeah,
he had spikes,
he did. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone had spikes. I mean,
frosted tips.
Not Justin.
Did you ever
well,
have frosted tips?
You know what? I don't.
Did those
I-
pictures burn in the fire as well?
Yeah.
Probably. I think so. You know, it was somewhere. I have pictures somewhere. Just I don't think I had a whole. But I didn't like really gel hair after a certain time, and
Well, we'll find them.
I'll have to look. Sorry,
I would love to see those. Excuse me.
you would be surprised.
I would I?
Yeah, I would be.
We want to see them.
I don't want to be surprised though, so that's the thing. So I kind of want to forget those repressed memories. I'll just bury them down and just never forget it. Never think I'll talk about this ever again.
Well, speaking of repressed, let's play some
Let's do
90s
it.
trivia.
Oh, how are you, by the way?
Oh, I'm okay.
Since these two gentlemen didn't ask.
Yeah, how rude.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, James.
I have a
Yeah.
tangent span
You know
of
what?
a goldfish sometimes.
I'm
sorry.
with some of my favorite people on earth, and we're doing something awesome. So, yeah, I'm pretty good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Kudos.
Okay, how many of you watch football?
Sometimes.
I mean, it depends on.
Okay, let's see what we get.
Yeah.
So this is the number of consecutive years the Buffalo Bills lost in the Super Bowl in the 90s.
Oh, my buddy Chase is gonna hate me if I get this wrong. It's a lot.
Yeah. I'm not
Huh?
even going to guess.
I know
have
it's
no
like
idea.
70 and never. I don't know if they've ever won it. No, it's been a long time. 70, 80 years.
Okay, listen to the question again.
Lost.
This is the number of consecutive years the Buffalo Bills lost in the Super Bowl in the 90s.
Oh, and nice.
It's definitely not 7.
Was it like 3? I don't know. It's several. I think they went a couple times. It was,
So, 3.
I just don't think. I just know they haven't won in a long time.
That's
Sorry.
correct.
I was not listening. Story of my life again. 4. 4.
I was gonna guess 5, but
Kyle is correct. It is 4.
And I just guessing.
4.
I pull it out of
4.
my butt every time. I swear.
dang, man.
Nice job.
I don't pay attention a lot, but
You got
Very
it
nice.
right.
Kyle is a sophisticated guesser.
you have officially witnessed. I'm not looking at those cards.
I
You
know.
Before you get here, he's
I
Did you
totally
go
scrolling
through all of them real quick?
Hey, I would totally forget they
Photographic
were even
memory.
there.
Yeah.
Come next week. And I'm like,
Yeah.
He knows. He already has. He
Actually-
bought the set.
He's been practicing every night at home.
Yes.
That would be the best prank, honestly.
well, Chase, you owe me a beer. Actually, you owe me 4 beers for not getting
Yeah.
that wrong. I did that just for you, buddy.
Good.
Well, sweet. Well, before we get on to the topic of today, has anyone seen the recent news about the cloned dire wolf?
Yep.
How could you not?
Yes. I know. How could you not? So, just a brief summary. So, scientists have recently brought back the extinct dire wolf back from the dead using CRISPR technology. Sounds sketchy to me. And the company behind this monstrosity is Colossal Biosciences. So basically, one of the scientists that talk about this, she said they took the gray wolf genome or a gray wolf cell, and the cell of the gray wolf is already 99% identical to the dire wolf. And then they edited the cell and then created dire wolf. So she said it's basically a dire wolf. To me, that sounds like what they did in Jurassic Park.
I was gonna say that.
You
It's like,
think?
hey, we have dino DNA, and we're gonna sneak little bits to fill in the
I
gaps. That's
know.
exactly what it sounds like.
Well, you know,
Yeah,
Jurassic
I mean,
Park's coming out. Like, hey guys,
total Jurassic
Park.
Park vibes.
Jurassic Park 5
Yeah,
direwolf.
Direwolf. Yes, we just made it. Copyright.
Yeah, so I mean, it's fascinating and it's cool, but it's also playing God.
I just think we have too much going on right now as a country and as a world that I'm not worried about bringing some wolves back.
I'm
Yeah.
sure I'll get shot by someone hunting. Like, just
Yeah.
I don't think these are getting released into the wild.
well, maybe.
Well,
They're
Okay, they're
So
just
they're-
telling
so they're
us about
selling,
it
yeah.
now. You know,
Yeah.
how long has this been going? It's not
Till I
like,
see
hey,
well,
one.
I'm saying the litter they have right now.
yeah.
I think those are staying where they are. But
But she's saying, the direwolf is a direwolf, like the snozberries taste like snozberry. Like it's funny how it is. But what a direwolf is, for a while, I've heard of it before, but I thought it was like a mythological thing. But
well,
it's
I
a
think
real.
it's in Game of Thrones.
Sure, that's what the popular culture is. They use it in Game of Thrones, but the real thing is it's like an apex version of the modern wolf. It's larger,
More
heavier,
sophisticated. Yeah,
smarter,
like
like a velociraptor.
that's what I was just thinking. You read my mind. You stay out of my mind.
Sorry, dude. And they extracted the DNA from a direwolf skull or bones that they had and teeth. So you can look up the YouTube videos, and there's videos of the pups. They're all white.
They're
Mhm.
cute. They're of
They're
course
adorable.
They're adorable and
They're
cute. Yeah,
adorable
they're babies.
monsters.
You know, I mean, everything's
And-
cute until it plucks your eyeballs out. You know,
Sure, block more like chomp it out.
Oh.
But there's 3 of them, and 2 of them are named Romulus and Remus, which I thought that had something to do with
Rome.
yes,
Brothers of
Rome. And then
Rome.
the other one is it Khaleesi?
It's something like that.
From-
It's like
She's like the dragon queen in Game of Thrones or something.
Oh yeah. She,
I've never watched the
I don't
show,
remember. It's something in Game of Thrones. That's right.
so
I just
really
seen that
interesting.
today though. So apparently,
So if they come on the market, you gonna buy one?
absolutely.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I was trying to buy an alligator this weekend. Bring on the crazy animals. I don't care.
Yeah. By the way, how was your trip?
It was really good and very warm.
Tell the audience where you went.
I went to
Oh,
Tampa,
yeah.
Florida for the women's Final Four games.
Very
So-
cool.
I'd ask you how that went because I don't pay attention. So-
It went well.
Okay.
UConn won.
But I didn't. I'm just saying. I didn't. It's not because I don't watch basketball. I don't watch any sport. But I don't.
No, this is year 8 down, so it's a good time.
How was the weather?
The weather was 97 degrees, sunny and beautiful.
So nothing like here.
No,
No. You do look a little sun kissed.
yeah, I was out in it. Said, bring on the sunburn. I'll take it.
Yeah. Soak up that vitamin D.
Yeah, I did. So it's nice. And then what was wild though is we came back. I got back yesterday, but we hit North Carolina and it was super rainy like it was here. And then we got out of North Carolina and it was snowing in West Virginia and super cold. So
That makes total sense.
right, and then I got here and we know how this weather is. So
Yeah.
Well, I just kind of seen some snowflakes a little bit ago.
It was
yeah,
hailing.
it was snowing
It was
today.
hail-
hailing. Yeah.
You know, it just depends where you are.
Yeah,
Just,
and we
it was
definitely had
hailing
the
here.
snow.
You know,
or
4
snow.
miles over, apparently. You had
Yeah.
snow too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So-
Jorge? Rain?
Yeah, we've been getting some rain over here, and it's just been
Yeah.
it's been really interesting because I mean we've been having tornado weather, and then
Mhm.
really wet weather, and then now we're having a little bit of snow, and it's like I think I'm ready for spring to start a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Right.
think it's spring for sure.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm ready for it to actually feel like spring.
Yeah.
Oh.
Are
My
you
body's
sure?
not gonna know what to do when
I
it
feel like
actually
it's
gets
been
humid.
a really long winter.
It has felt like a really long winter
It's
because
not even like a bad one, just like long.
what several weeks ago it was we're hot. I actually turned on the air conditioning in the house. Then now it's like, hey, you got to turn the heat
It's
at
like
night.
2 days I gotta work. I'm like, you got
Yeah, get up for work. It's 23 degrees outside.
Right.
Just crazy.
Ridiculous.
Just crazy. But some crazy things I'm excited to hear are some of these stories. So, Steph, you
Mhm.
want to start us out with deserted towns?
Absolutely. I
I'm
hope one of
ready.
us picked the same town.
Okay, I'm worried that we might, but I want to
What
hear
did you
it.
wait? What state?
No,
did
you
you-
go
No,
ahead.
just say what state you picked.
Pennsylvania.
Oh no, we're not the
Okay.
same.
I didn't even pick this country.
Okay, safe. Jorge, what state?
California.
Okay, we're good.
Yes.
I didn't
Alright,
even know.
good.
Like, you like
I
10
do
house.
I do think that for future references, I mean, we don't have to go into detail, but I mean, I think we should at least discuss like what we're gonna be we're gonna be choosing, just so then that way that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I
Well,
didn't think we were gonna pick the same place, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
fine. So, the town I picked is in Connecticut,
Mm.
in Dudleytown, Connecticut.
What is it called?
Dudleytown?
Deadly?
Dudley.
Dudley. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you could call it Deadlytown.
Deadly.
You can tell me at the end.
Deadly,
So,
Connecticut.
basically, this place is known as a place that has had bad luck since about 1747. So, stories of insanity, suicides, murder, creepy creatures in the forest, just a bunch of chaos. It actually is illegal to visit. So,
What?
yeah.
Interesting.
I want to go.
Yeah, right?
That sounds.
So, obviously, a lot of trespassers come through, but you get prosecuted for it. But yeah, you're not supposed to be there. So, the biggest question is, was the curse that is brought about that town, is it just from the like Native American burial sites, or is it just really bad luck?
So
very
when
intriguing.
was the town deserted completely?
Well, that's what I'm gonna dive into.
Okay.
I wasn't done.
Okay.
Okay. So, this borders the upstate New York. So if you're looking for location, that's where it is. So there's high density forest, mountain terrain, all that good stuff. So back in 1738, Thomas Griff purchased the land from Yale University at an auction. And at that point, it was known as the Mass Swamp. And trees were cut down in that area and then used as mast parts for boats. So that's how they started off. But in 1947, Griff's purchased a partial of that land to Gideon Dudley, and that's where it starts to get interesting. So they believe that of the 3 or 4 brothers that were in the Dudley family, they think they brought a curse from 16th century England. So very exciting.
Yes.
So Edmund, who was the ancestor of Gideon, was beheaded in 1510 after being exposed to a coup that was against King Henry VIII. Yeah.
News.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's just a little backstory on that. But due to the location, it's set between 3 hills. So by noon, it was pretty dark, which meant farming wouldn't work. And then adding in the winters, the soil was awful. So
Oh, that
it
makes
wasn't
sense.
working for farming.
Yeah.
All right.
Timber was their main source of income. Like I said, they used it for parts of ships, but that didn't actually help them. So by 1854, the local census was only 26 families.
26 for some maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe 200 people if you're lucky.
Yeah. So, but they all had weird deaths. So some were attacked by a Native Americans. Some had dementia or insanity. The one guy that had dementia and insanity did live to be about 90, and he stayed in that location the whole time. They would blame it on strange animals out in the forest that they would see.
Dire wolves.
Yeah, it was dire wolves in Connecticut. Some were struck by lightning. One lady was struck by lightning.
But that was fun.
Yeah, it was a good time, I'm sure. And because of that, her husband, who was a war hero, heard that news, and then he went mad.
He went mad just by
Hearing that his wife died because she was struck by lightning.
yeah. Well,
And this part is pretty interesting, especially if you like history. So Mary Cheney, can anybody?
is that Dick Cheney's wife?
No,
Descendant.
but it is a president nominee who went up against Grant. Does anybody know his name?
Nope.
Nope.
I was going to tell you right now. I have no idea.
Okay, so the president nominee was Horace Greeley,
Okay.
and so his wife was Mary Cheney, and she committed suicide a week before the election. And
Good
then we know that
Lord.
he lost to Grant. But both of those, both the death and the election loss, they blamed on that town and the curse. So
Seems fair.
I think so.
You would think that would have been a PR booster. Well, my wife just like, maybe we should buy.
No.
We should, you know.
Nope. They said, darn the curse.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I guess-
John Broppy was the last resident to live in Dudleytown. His wife died of TB. And then 2 of his children wandered into the woods and were never seen of again. And then he wandered into the woods and was never seen again. And then
Jeez.
Okay,
a
guys,
vi-
hold on. Where's exactly? We need to ping this on the GPS and no one ever go here ever.
I
Go
told
ahead.
you, Dudleytown, Connecticut.
Okay, well,
by upstate New York.
we need coordinates.
Side note, you
Okay.
don't have the square mileage of the town, do you?
Yeah.
I do somewhere, but
Because I'd
not
love
in
to know,
this.
like,
Not where to
Let's
go.
see.
if they just vanished, like where
I know.
Nope, I don't want to go.
I
wanna
want
find
to
out.
go.
Well-
You know what it sounds to me like? People going mad. It makes me think there's something like bad water, or it is on an Indian burial ground.
Go ahead and continue. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'll leave that there for right now. Anywho, so after his wife died, his kids ran off into the woods. He ran off the woods, never to be found again. Then after that, their house just mysteriously burned down in the night to the ground, just randomly.
What? Good lord! I needed to
Yes.
pause for that last one right there. Just to kind of wrap my head around how
Yeah.
much bad luck.
Yeah.
So
You don't get a curse for googling this, do you?
I don't know. We'll find out
Yeah.
soon.
Stay away.
And a curse if you listen. So then that brings us up to 1900 when Dr. William Clark, who was the leading expert in cancer, cancer research, purchased property down here. And they used that place as their holiday home, which is very interesting. So in the summer of 1918, Clark left for just 36 hours to attend business in New York. And he came back to his wife in complete distress and insanity because she said she saw strange creatures in the woods. And then shortly after that, she committed suicide.
Dire wolves, man. I'm convinced you were right. Or
Yeah.
Dude.
So then he remarried and stayed in this town until he died in 1943. But in that time, he helped found the association called Dark Entry Forest Association. And that was to help preserve the surrounding forest, which I think is wild.
Dark entry.
Preserve
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
More like to keep in.
To keep in. So there's just remains of, broken down, rundown houses, stone walls. But now again, it is private property. You're not supposed to be there, just kind of overrun by the forest. But people will go check it out, obviously. And every single one of them have come back feeling overwhelmed with darkness and sadness. And they feel like they are being watched.
Man.
Which-
Wow.
That
Yeah.
reminds me of Skinwalker Ranch.
That's exactly what I
Yeah.
was thinking.
Yeah,
too.
like a bunch of strange
glad I didn't
stuff
pick that
always
one.
happen.
Or didn't,
Yeah.
that'd have been a
No,
really good
that's
one.
really interesting. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to do some more deeper research into that.
Yeah, and they had more about Edmund's son, the one that brought the curse back. So his son John wanted to control the British throne, and so he tried to arrange for his son Guilford to marry Lady Jane Grey, who was next in line for the crown. So
Jane Grey and Jean Grey.
Mhm.
Ooh.
So a lot of that back stuff. So the question is it a curse or is it just bad luck?
All the above.
All of the above.
It's bizarre, to say the least,
It is.
to
I feel
have
like
that
having a
much
But
Negative
negative
fascinating.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to believe
Yeah,
but times are different, and
yeah. That's
I-
true.
I have a feeling the old world, as we would even several hundred years ago, was completely different.
For sure.
No way. No TV.
No
don't-
TV,
I'm gonna
no
argue
Jinko
against it.
jeans.
What if the creatures they saw back then were the dinosaurs?
No Kool-Aid.
It could be dinos, could be something else.
Yeah. Or just maybe
Yeah.
type
I
of
mean,
animal they had never seen before that.
or
was the only time.
Sasquatch.
Yeah.
They're like, it comes. Yeah.
Bigfoot.
I feel like
yeah.
you said creatures, quoting them creatures several times. You wonder what it's like. Okay, draw me a picture.
Yeah, and I don't think any of them are going to come back from the dead to draw that for us. So I think we have to use our own imagination.
Same square.
But that's just a small amount of people, 26 families. And then most of them had something weird they died of.
Yeah,
So And then
Mm.
again, he lost the election, so also a downer. So
Yeah, right. I mean, pretty hard to one be president without a first lady,
Yeah. That
and
goes
kind of
mad and kills herself.
yeah, yeah.
Crazy.
Did she though? I mean, you never know.
You never know. He was gone for a couple days.
That's right.
my thought
Never know what happened.
I thought Clark did something to his wife.
There's never a thorough investigation done
weird.
by the FBI, so that's right. It wasn't there.
They weren't. They hadn't invented too many 3-letter agencies back then.
It's true.
Back in the good old
This is
days,
where it started.
freedom rang free.
Yeah.
Now we're on the watch list, guys. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we've already been on it. Let's face it. Kyle, what you got, man?
All right, so I know you always heard on the internet about all the abandoned all the abandoned cities, like basically China building ghost towns. All right, you remember seeing on this internet, oh, China has all these ghost towns, and the theory goes, that they're building ghost towns and no one's showing up, to live in them, or for whatever reason, because I don't know, I didn't do anything like hers, so I wouldn't do it like a scary story, but I was wondering why in China they kept on building all these ghost towns. Like I would come on here on the internet, like why ghost towns? Well, come to find, after you look and do enough research, you come to find that all these houses and structures they were building they had no like structure. They were just in cement. They were just built nothing. Basically what it looked like with it was a studio apartment, or I should say a studio. They'd had apartments and buildings.
That's what I've seen, like pictures
know-
of what looks like apartment buildings.
Yeah, they were
There's
they were
tons
like
of them.
malls or shopping centers. They just look like big old buildings. But but if you try and Google anything, you watch TikTok, you don't know what you're finding. So I'm like, okay, is that really real? Because is that really real? Because I mean, I don't really know anything I see. So when you start actually Googling everything, and come to find out that some of these places that they're talking about, I've actually. Yeah, so for instance, I Google one and you look at the population, it's like 2 million or something, and they consider that a ghost town. I mean, maybe relative to the size of the population of like Beijing or something like that, it would be a ghost town. I'm like,
Yeah.
but like, really, it's come to find out, it's like the population in China isn't growing like what it used to be. And kind of interesting. But all these towns that they have, uh, don't seem to be really that small. I mean, I don't know how about you guys, but if I had a population of 2 million. That really doesn't seem like a whole. I mean,
Definitely not a town.
no, it's
No.
not. It's like a city, and like one of them that even if you listen on Google and you tried searching in, the first ones you're gonna find are like, oh, this is a capital. Well, how's a capital city a ghost town? In China. Do we really even know what's going on? Like I'm not wrong. I'm not like a conspiracy. I don't hate anyone, but it's like it's just weird how whenever you come and find out that these places they're building, they started building them, 2010 or whatever. They're starting to fill up with everything, and then in China, they only finish so much of it. So you come in and make it how you want it. Of course, I don't live in China, but it was Ordos, China had a population of 2.1 million, which compared to Beijing was 21. But there was 80 different train rails that went in between those two. Like as far as they trained, there were several of those high speed. I mean, there was several. Like, it was like the fact that they can transmute from one to the other. Transmute. What a stupid word. Transfer from one another. And then I mean, 21.858 million was in Beijing. I mean, that's 10 times. I mean, this stuff that they had in China was. It's like the trains, they go 300 mile an hour. How fast does a train go in United States? Maybe 70, 80 miles an hour at most. We don't even utilize trains.
No, not really.
So it was the way they transport in China isn't near as big.
So what do you think
Well, the
purpose of building these?
The thing was that China's birth rate is not what it used to be. It used to have the one child only. They lifted that ban on China. So now they want to can have more children, but they're not wanting to have more children. So they built all this infrastructure,
just in case.
just in case, and they're kind of hoping that it's going to happen. But with current affairs and everything else like that, it was like, is this going to happen? Because I mean, it. So in China, the governments they have, they can purchase the land cheaper. Like they can go in and buy it, they can urbanize it, but they can't say that, hey, no one's going to come occupy it. right? If you
Mhm,
try to go do that in Brazil or you go to India, they've had similar economic booms, all right?
mhm.
And they are able they like, to buy land in Brazil or do that is much harder for than it is in India or yeah. In Brazil and India, it's harder than it is in China. In China, they can just basically come in and say, "Hey, I'm gonna do this." But, the people don't wanna expand out, but the pollution is also a big
Yeah,
problem in China. So,
yeah,
to try to move those guys over, hey, maybe one day we'll move them over there. But, if people don't wanna move, they kinda comfortable just being in that one spot because they just think that's all there is, that's what kinda happens whenever you,
it seems so expensive to
I mean, China
build a city essentially. Because okay, say for example, the state of Indiana, I don't think we have 2 million people in the state.
we have maybe
Over 1 million?
no,
But,
I thought we had
I
closer to
mean,
5,
if you
but
have, 2 million people consolidated into one,
yeah, but they also
area.
have, like, a billion
Yeah, they have billions of people. Yeah, China has, you know,
yeah, but
their
it's
standing arm military is
I mean, but their China's also not I shouldn't say it's small, but it's not
no,
it's,
maybe China's huge, but yeah, it's just fascinating. They would build
it
that.
would take geography and everything
Oh
else,
yeah, but
you have to it would take a lot of money to make it invest
just to
in that.
have that just for whatever reason, and then to even maintain something like that.
Yeah,
Like, what about plumbing and
well, that's the
if
first thing you
places
have to
aren't.
go in first and account for usually is your plumbing and
Yeah, because you
water.
can't. I mean, you have to maintain those properties too, because they'll fall apart. So that would be really creepy to.
Well, I'm saying, but there's supposedly okay, there was like 65,000,000 to 90,000,000 empty houses in China. So
Yeah,
imagine just how many empty houses you go around, like how crazy that is just to that's a lot of houses.
that's scary,
4 times 4, that would almost solve the housing crisis,
right?
anywhere.
There's 6.9 million people that live in Indiana.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm way off.
But still, Indiana's
I'm old fashioned.
and they have different sized regions, like,
From
True.
Connecticut.
so they in China, they have
Dudleytown.
regions, and they have different capitals, so the 2,000,000 I thought for a city was pretty big, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
I would say that's huge.
It I mean, it'd be like I don't know how many if that'd be bigger than Indianapolis, I would think.
It would be fun to see some drone footage, like
I know,
hovering
well,
over.
it's you can't I've had a hard time even trying to find without having to, like, read each article, like, deep, deep, deep in.
Hmm.
It's like, I mean, it's just a lot different than you would think. 65,000,000 to 90,000,000 houses, we had that many in the world, and we're in or not in the United States, we'd probably solve our housing crisis, right?
I think so.
But there's that many empty in China, so I always thought it was I think, maybe the will they 'cause those houses those cities are getting filled up, but you just don't know how fast,
Yeah, exactly.
and the last one I even seen was you can get even the information on was, like, 2023, 2020, so you
Hmm.
couldn't see any more numbers after that, so not like they update that stuff like we do, or we
Yeah.
don't get the correct information half the time, so
Yep.
I just thought that was the biggest part is that even just trying to find anything about China was hard enough.
Very
Without
cool. Jorge, you're up, man.
All righty.
Oh,
So this one really interested me. So this is over Holy City, California.
oh,
Um,
that sounds terrible.
yeah, yeah,
Holy City, like
Sounds like
HO
sounds like
yeah.
Earthquake City.
Holy City, as in Holy Bible,
Tremors.
except exact opposite of the Bible.
Ooh.
But
Yeah, Tremors, yeah, where's Kevin Bacon when you need
Yeah.
him?
yeah. Uh, but yeah, no. So Holy City, it's an unincorporated community in Santa Clara County, in California. It was once considered by very few people probably as a utopian community uh, in the 20s and 30s, but now it's pretty much a ghost town. Um, it was founded by a guy named William Riker. He had bought land. It was about 142 acres, um, that had eventually become Holy City. Uh, and in the early years, the city was it was developed between Santa Cruz and San Jose, and it was actually really well known for its strange like roadside attractions and uh and signs and things like that. And they had attracted tourists to a restaurant, a service station, a zoo, observatory, peep show, soda stand, barbershop, shoe repair. And it was incorporated in 1926. For a time, they had actually had a radio station, which was in 1924, and it went on air in July 7th of that year under the call letters KFQU. And in April of 1931, the radio station had been operating on a radio frequency far from its assigned frequency. And eventually, the station went off the air in December of 1931 and had its license renewal denied on January 11th of 1932 due to quote unquote irregularities. Um, it would it makes sense. I'll get into who William Riker is, but I'm just going to preface this by saying, like, whenever you figure out more about William Riker, you'll understand why nobody goes here anymore and why it declined.
Riker,
So,
the
I
fairest name.
remember hearing that name, William Riker.
Wasn't it X-Men?
Well, I remember
Wasn't it
you're probably thinking
Riker?
of Stryker.
Striker.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Tomato,
I'm off
tomato.
today. I'm off.
Okay. So, who was William Riker? Well, he was born in 1873 in Oakdale, and he moved to San Francisco, and he made ends meet by selling wares on the street. But his real passion was proselytizing. Now, for people that don't know what proselytizing is, that's basically just a fancy word for spreading a message, right? Like preaching to people. But he worked as a palm reader, and later he worked as a mind reader under the name Professor Riker. And he preached to anybody that would listen and plenty who didn't want to listen to him. And so by 1915, he gathered a small group of disciples and opened up his headquarters at 674 Hay Street. And he called his movement, or he called this headquarters, the Perfect Christian Divine Way Incorporated.
What?
So,
That doesn't scary at all.
So wait,
so,
I need to ask this question.
uh-huh.
So he was a pastor for the Perfect Christians, but he also believed in palm reading.
Well, he had very flawed theology, so I wouldn't even call him a pastor. Maybe he would call himself that, but he called himself Professor. He
Gotcha.
called himself Professor Riker.
Professor.
Okay.
I feel like I've heard
But
that name in movies before.
I
yeah.
know. That's why I wanted it's Striker, but
Wasn't it Riker's prison?
But the more that you learn about this guy, he was actually a giant racist. He was,
No way.
yeah,
He had the
was,
human race, right?
he hated humans.
So yeah, he. I'm sorry, excuse me.
Excuse you.
So yeah, a part of the attraction in this town, he decorated it with like strange religious signs, and he had, from what I'm seeing on it's sfgate.com, he had a row of larger than life Santa Claus statues.
Okay.
So I guess he was like trying to like catch he was trying to catch tourists' eyes so that they would go to the town. And so it says here that the
What year
that
was this?
smaller
29. Sorry.
yeah, this was like the 20s. It was like
Okay.
yeah.
I like it. That would have got me.
I would have been like, let's keep going.
Like
Or
Santa?
whatever
Yeah.
we're doing.
But then a former member accused, which people did refer to him as Father Riker, but then he was accused of running a sex cult as well.
Of course.
Which that kind of makes sense. I would say that anytime you look at cults, there's usually a lot of sexual abuse.
Yeah, he just hit
that-
the cult Beginning cult starter pack.
Yeah, Cult
But
101 for
yeah,
sure.
Cult.
Um,
yeah.
so
Mm,
one of the
yeah.
members, her name was Frida Schwartz. She was a married mother of 8. In 1921, there were allegations that were made by the Schwartzes, and it actually ended up sparking a federal investigation into this cult, into the perfect Christian divine way. Um, so he was he would be charged with grand larceny, conspiracy against public morals, and child endangerment. Uh, Here it's saying that the that on the Schwartz's account, the tale was so salacious, papers could only hint at some of the particulars. So Frida, she ended up testifying. She testified that her husband Alexander was gifted 2 new women as wives, and their 8 children were whisked away to be raised by the cult. And
That sounds
it was
terrible.
done, according to them, it was done under the guise of getting the family into heaven. Uh,
Of course.
Was kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh my
and
God, Lord. How can I believe
she's
anything?
she said that she was not allowed to mention her children's names again, and if she did, members of the cult abused her. Her husband testified that the children were beaten and tied between trees to be stretched by other cult members. Um, and as part of the investigation, 4 children, including Riker's son, were taken from the colony by the juvenile court. So I mean, they experienced a lot of I'm pretty sure they experienced a lot of like really hardcore trauma during while living in this freaking community. Um she also said that life under Riker was a living hell for women. She claimed that Riker forced female members to have sex with him, and when she and another woman became pregnant, he ordered them to obtain abortions, and she said that they did. After years in the court system, all charges against Riker were eventually dismissed, and the children were returned to their families.
What?
Um, yeah, yeah,
What?
yeah.
That would make sense.
No.
Nothing makes sense.
It's wild.
So this guy and so this guy was so he I don't know if he had like there's a mental health, it's like delusions of grandeur. I think that he probably had that. I mean, he even tried running for governor at on several occasions. Um, Here it says that in 1935 he wrote a letter to President Roosevelt, letting him know that he could end the Great Depression and quote make
Make
yeah.
America great again? Is that was he was gonna run on that? No.
Yeah, he's like, I can end the Great Depression. And then he was quoted by saying he could make kings and queens out of all sane-minded white people.
Oh.
And
Yeah, dude.
under Riker's direction, the country would be turned into a paradise on short notice. And so obviously FDR wasn't dumb enough to take him up on the offer. So
Oh,
he ended
wow.
up turning to the Nazis.
Sure.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
That's
He
wild.
wrote a series of in the 30s, he wrote a series of letters to Adolf Hitler. He viewed Hitler as a like-minded soul, and he would address him as like his excellency and his honor.
Wild.
So he also in one of his letters he wrote, your opportunity is now ripe, and when it is done you will prove yourself to be the greatest character that has ever lived since the time of Jesus Christ.
How do people fall for this?
I don't know.
It just doesn't make any sense. Like, no one is that charming.
I have a lot of answers for that, but I'm just gonna keep
Yeah.
the majority of
And
them.
it probably didn't have drugs involved at this point, which
Oh,
is
yeah,
even
definitely.
crazier.
I mean, I understand the whole Christmas
That might have
village
helped
getting
his
him in that
situation.
way, but like, no, there's no way.
I'm sure
There's-
the violence had behind the scenes probably had a lot to do with it.
right, but
Yeah.
right up front, like to get someone to join a cult, you're
I-
not going to advertise.
Never been in a cult.
Pain.
Never planned
Maybe
to.
he had
and
a
I don't get it.
pamphlet.
Well,
Well,
a lot of
he's like,
brainwashing
take a
definitely,
pamphlet or read your
you know,
palm.
Right.
gets involved.
Well, I get the brainwashing. I'm just saying, like, what leads you to that point that you're like, okay, I'm gonna run away. I'm a mom of 8 kids, and I'm just gonna leave that for what? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, how charming are you that worked? Wild.
Well, not that charming because this guy was not so he wasn't quiet about any of his views. He was very outspoken. He was very much like I would say heretically radicalized. Like he had heretically radical ideas. Um I mean, uh whenever he whenever he was running for political office on a white supremacy platform, he was advocating that Black and Asian Americans be banned from owning businesses in California. And I mean, he had run for governor for like 4 different times, and he actually ran under a Republican and a Democrat ticket.
Hmm.
And funny thing is that nobody really cared for him. Like no, like whenever they saw him running, they just didn't vote for him.
I'll
I
give him
hope
this.
so.
He's not afraid to be himself.
Yeah.
That is very true. You
Dude,
gotta-
people are crazy though. I'm with
Yeah.
you, Steph. I don't get how people get stuck.
He was very comfortable in his own skin.
Let me read your palm.
However, he was arrested by the FBI in 1942 for sedition due to his support
Took him long enough.
of
Yeah,
for his
Adolf.
support of Hitler.
Yeah.
He even referred to Hitler as a second Martin Luther,
Mm.
which is I don't even know what to say to that. Like that's just so nuts.
That's crazy.
That's an insult to Martin Luther, I guess, right?
Wait,
Yes. He's
I mean,
it's
I mean, that's the only I could take it.
extreme opposites.
yeah,
there.
extreme opposites.
Yeah.
Oh.
I actually found that so he had a lot of like pro-white, anti you know, anti anti-white posters, like pro how would I
Anti-white?
say it? So yeah, he
Like
had
propaganda
he
posters?
had a lot of he had a lot of posters that were very pro white supremacy. Like one of the posters that he had, which I don't see a picture here, but on this website it says that one of the posters had said our California belongs to the white race man, or it must be purged of this deadly polluting Oriental disease. Um, but there are pictures. I mean, there are pictures of like some of the posters that he had, and some of them were like terrible, like political comics.
Well, if he idolized Adolf Hitler, he probably had some similar propaganda that he would post.
Yeah, I mean, here's one. It says, "You want the actual truth? Only Riker. Only Will Riker, your future governor, can explain it."
Yeah. Riker,
Well, if
Third
that
Reich.
doesn't bring you in, I don't know what
Yeah.
will.
Right?
I'm
Yeah,
gonna look this guy up.
People
You just see what
thought,
he
where do
looks
I
like.
sign up?
Yeah, seriously.
Looney bin?
My family of 8 would like to sign up.
We thought this
House
would
of
be
Horror.
fun. Wait,
he
I would be
would
locked
he
in a
would
panic room with you.
so he would also like tell people that he had found the cure for cancer, heart failure,
Oh, he was the cure
and
for all that. Yeah.
all other ailments. Um, he would dress in a white suit, sometimes with a small dog at his side, and he would wander the town and he would shout at the tourists. So he would get them with these Santa Claus attractions, and he'd
Yeah,
shout
that's
at
what it
them.
sounds like. What is that guy's name?
Mr. Dr. Evil.
Dr. Evil, yeah.
Like, my kid.
He's like, you like my Santa Claus? You like my Santa Claus statues? It's good because he's white.
I'm telling
Um,
you, the Christmas Village would have pulled me in, but I think very quickly I would have
Mhm.
turned around. Let's see.
That's not snow.
Well, that's the funny thing. So usually tourists would like pretty much leave as soon as he would bring them in. They were leaving. They were leaving just as quick as they were coming in. So, I mean, he's also quoted by saying, "I'll offer $10,000 to anybody who can find a flaw in 100% of my arguments."
Okay.
So he was poor.
All right, well, let's do it.
Yeah, all right.
Where's
Everything.
my money? So yeah,
Hmm.
so yeah, so it the town started to decline in population in the 40s,
I think
and that was due to the uh, State Road 17. And I think that they intentionally did that. I think that they intentionally did that to keep people away from going near that city. Um, so whenever they put up State Road 17, it was no longer on the main route through the mountains, which is obviously where Holy City was. So here on Wikipedia, it says that with the end of the Great Depression, many of Riker's followers were able to find work somewhere else, and the town was disincorporated in 1959, and Riker would eventually lose control of the property, and several of the buildings mysteriously burned down shortly afterwards.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Ah,
So
It's mysteriously, huh?
mysteriously burned.
I wonder how that happened. I would have been on and
So-
walked like, Mr. Riker, hey, you go ahead of me, and bye bye, guy.
So I guess just to bring an end to Mr. Riker here, after the decline in the visitors, eventually, after losing the community, in 1966, at the age of 93, he converted to Catholicism
Oh.
Uh-huh.
at the end of his rope. So I mean, at least he.
He was hoping
I
to become
mean,
a saint. Get it? Makes
No,
sense.
I think he had a plan. I think I hope. But I wish the best, but I have a little bit of doubt.
We don't know
know.
his heart, but the sincerity of
Right.
conversion is
I would definitely question his the genuine what's a better word to use here. I would just question how genuine he was about his conversion, but I mean, I guess that's not up to me.
I would
That's
love
what I
to
think.
read
But-
if it was recorded his last words.
Or his last thoughts,
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
He does look like
you're such a liar.
Ooh, let me
a
see
guy
a
with
picture.
no worries, just out for a good time.
He does.
I think he
He
had a plan
does.
all
He looks like
along.
he's about to sell me a used car
He does, and you'll buy it too. He's
or
that good.
some kind of
Well, I was
kitchen
bad
Tupperware.
91 years, but this last 2 days have been really good.
I will say, I like what the newspaper started their article with, having had no troubles of his own since 1923. Father William E. Riker, ruler of the Commonwealth near Santa Cruz, has offered to help President Roosevelt solve some of his. I like
Nice.
it. It's very confident. He's had no troubles, but he can
Yeah.
help the president get out of it.
Sign me
I
up.
love
This is
it.
pre-troubles. The troubles didn't come after until he didn't get elected.
It's full
full-time.
circle with this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, he
I
had
love
he had a
it.
91-year plan.
Yeah. So this guy had a very small following. He didn't have like hundreds of
Yeah.
thousands
Thank you,
of
humanity,
people
for that.
following him. Yeah. So I think, some people, I
There is
think
hope.
that with all of like the cult leaders that we've learned about, like they're usually really like, charismatic, and, they're,
Or he was none of that.
no, no, he was like people. I mean, whenever you start yelling at people the moment they come into your town after like welcoming them, and you're trying to like basically jam your thwarted, twisted theology, if that's even what you want to call it, down people's throat, people are generally going to like turn away.
And he wasn't hard of hearing. We weren't just trying to yell at him.
So
We got a mega.
it says here, I mean, it even says here that like in the late 40s, he had a son that was found badly beaten after police had followed a trail of blood from San Jose Tavern to a shanty where he was living. So they had seen that he had severe back and chest injuries, along with facial lacerations and a broken ankle, which were inflicted by cult members when he was announcing that he was leaving. So, I mean, this was his son. So even his own son hated him.
For good reason.
Well, sounds smart.
But yeah, it's a ghost town now.
That's very interesting. And he's very interesting. The more you read, it's like, well, you were off your rocker.
Yeah. And he
Something like-
died.
Yeah.
I'm sure he died alone because he spent his last years in Holy City. He was allowed to live on the property as long
Population
as
of
like
one.
he was no longer in charge of it. So
I don't think he's
you
ever
know,
in charge to begin with.
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, people would like go there like out of curiosity just to kind of check it out, but obviously they weren't interested in being part of it or anything. But most of it was burned down in the late 50s. Anyways, so it's a ghost town. I think it would be interesting to visit now.
No, I don't think so.
I think I'd rather go to Dudley.
I
Yeah.
think I'd rather just
I would go check
not
out.
go to any of them.
I think I could do both.
I'm going to go to the
Holy City.
bathroom. Sorry, I would do that.
That's
No, very interesting.
interesting.
Yeah, I don't want to
Yeah.
die at either one or be like,
Yeah.
be around them.
Monsters or cults?
Yeah, neither one.
Yeah.
What's the
Pass.
difference? You got a monster of cult or cult of monsters or yeah,
Never know.
monster.
James?
Yeah. I think it comes up to
Okay.
your time, buddy.
It's mine. So has anyone ever heard of Centralia, Pennsylvania? No? Ring any bells?
Negatory.
Okay, and before I start,
Sound
I want to
familiar.
give a shout out to my boy Ernie for recommending this. He's been there. He's seen it. He's been around there for work.
What's up, Bert?
No, I said, oh, no. And he said it seems like the real Silent Hill, which I'll get to that too. And do you remember
That's
Silent
so
Hill, the
cute.
video game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I thought you were talking about
And the movie.
There's a movie too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely.
And what was
about video.
the name of the town, James?
Centralia, Pennsylvania.
Almost like Transylvania, but
Yeah, it kind of does. So it's the town that had been on fire for more than 60 years, and it
Oh.
will continue to burn for another 250. So the population, according to Wikipedia, in 2020 was 5 people.
that's
But
a
the
lot
back-
of people.
Yeah, that's 5 compared to what it was.
They might have to slow down.
You know what? I actually have heard of this place.
Yeah, I bet you
now that
have.
I'm seeing pictures.
Because when I started research, I was like, oh, I remember this. So to backtrack a little bit, Centralia, Pennsylvania was a mining town, and it started mining in 1856. The ground underneath the town was rich in something called anthracite coal, which was also known as hard coal or stone coal. And
Stone
anthracite,
cold.
yeah, stone cold. And anthracite coal was used for clean burning, low ash content, and was used in homes and factories and fueling railroads. The population of Centralia in 1856 was about 1,300 people, and by 1962, when the fire had started, the population was roughly the same. So a multiple generation thing, kind of like the other one,
Yeah.
multi-generation.
Mhm.
So what was believed to be the catalyst of the town and why it started to burn was, any guesses?
Yeah, coal got caught on fire, right?
Sure, but where is coal?
In the ground.
In the ground. Mining
Underground.
community, yeah. So how it all started was there was a lot of illegal trash dumps around the town. Now, don't ask me how that gets started, but there's just giant piles of
You mean
trash.
1,300 people and they couldn't figure out.
Yeah, you would think. And
Wow.
so illegal trash dumps. So what the town decided to do was consolidate all the trash into one area. It was an old strip mine. And so I don't know if they layered it or something, but they put all the trash in there and burned it. And when they noticed there was a problem was when the fire went out and then it would catch
Hmm.
back on fire. Like, well, we thought we soaked this, And so basically what happened was, if you've ever seen, I'm sure a couple of you have had. So remember those anthills you can buy when you're a kid and you can kind of see? So basically,
Yeah.
like the coal veins underneath the ground kind of run like the anthills underneath. And basically the trash had either gotten so hot that the heat through the rock hit the coal and ignited the coal, or it just burned down to the coal. And so that just triggered this whole thing of all the coal veins catching on fire. Now it was, I believe it was slow burning, but to who knows how much coal is actually down there. So that's why it's continuing to burn to this day. Um, so multiple attempts were made to stop the coal from burning, but none were ever successful. One method was they were going to intercept the coal vein by digging down, estimated deep enough where they would just put some kind of barricade or barrier so it stopped burning. But they tried it, and then they can't actually see, and so they actually cut too early or before the fire, so the fire was still burning, so they didn't stop it, so it didn't work. They also developed ways to vent the smoke coming out of the ground by putting these big pipes where it would allow the heat and the smoke to go out, so the town would smell like smoke. And I'm assuming I've never smelled coal in person, but I'm assuming it has probably has a sulfur like
Yeah,
scent.
let's
I
put it this way.
guess
I
so.
don't think living on top of like a big old coal mine
Yeah, it doesn't sound
it's
like a
on
good idea.
fire. It's probably the wisest. Hey, what's
Yeah,
your insurance cost? What do
yeah,
you
right.
what?
And so they used to put these big poles to kind of vent the coal mines, and then they put these wires around it so people wouldn't touch it because it would be thousands of degrees
Yeah,
hot. And but what they found out by doing that was it was actually pulling oxygen
yeah,
in
and making it
and
feel
helping
warm.
the fire.
That makes sense.
So that didn't work.
That's what I was gonna wonder. Like, where's it getting its oxygen from? I
That's
mean,
right. And so this was then. So they were trying to find creative ways to stop the fire. But one of the final straws was a young boy saw smoke coming up in his backyard, and he went to see where the smoke was coming from, and the ground beneath him collapsed, and it was an actual sinkhole.
Oh my
And the
goodness.
ground, they I think they estimated it was like 100 feet deep, opened up, and
mhm.
thankfully it didn't swallow the kid, but
Oh,
it was all
jeez.
the heat and the smoke all came up because it was all
Yep.
burned underneath. And the neighbor, somebody managed to grab the boy and pull him out. He was okay. But I mean, I can't imagine, it probably looked like a portal to hell had
Yeah, I
opened
Oh,
up
bet.
yeah.
and in his backyard.
I wonder how
Um,
traumatized that kid
oh
was
yeah, he was
afterwards.
terrified.
I bet I don't want to watch the movie 2012.
And of course, as one would think, a lot of the locals suffered from the health effects from the fumes and smoke. A lot of people with basements, they get that smoke coming
Yeah.
through. Bad situation. Um, so when all hope was lost, they turned to the state, but the state, long story short, the help they received was questionable at best. Um, they decided that everyone was to leave the town, but they were given a buyout. And of course, the buyout for the home was only a fraction of what their home was actually worth.
Oh yeah,
So
because I mean,
if
it
their
ain't
home
worth
was worth,
nothing. Yeah, because
$17,000, we'll give you $2,000, so you can relocate, but you really don't have a lot of money to do so. So fast forward to present day, only a few people live there. And it's rumored, but I still couldn't find a confirmation, but to be the inspiration for the video game Silent Hill. Now, I believe all the homes were torn down, most of the buildings, and the I know the state required that if you stayed, the generation that stayed was allowed to live there until you die, but it could not be passed on. So that's why there's probably a few people left. But um, there is the main highway there that runs through Route 61. You can look online. There's lots of pictures. It's all graffitied, so kind of like the other
Yeah, I
town.
pulled that
Yeah.
up. I was
Yeah.
just
So people have gone in there and tagged the road. I mean, it
Yeah,
looks kind of neat, but
it
it's
does.
it's an abandoned town, and I think you can probably go through some of it. It's probably not a good idea. I guess the coal is still burning, but not to the level it was where you see smoke coming up. But I could totally see how you could get Silent Hill vibes from being there, especially at night on a foggy day or
yeah,
night or
not,
morning.
no one around in
No
this
one
old
around.
town.
Just that weird, as human beings, we have that sixth sense of like life that used to be there, just kind of,
Creepiness. Yeah,
yeah.
It is
But
very creepy.
that is a good one though.
but it's kind of a tragic story where, it's a mining town, but yeah, like you said, Kyle, it seems kind of like I wouldn't build a city on top of a coal mine, but I mean, it was a mining town. They're proud
I
of it.
mean, that's the thing. Yeah, you don't. I mean, guess you don't really know how deep the mine is, but I should by now know that hey, this area is all cool. This is going to be excavated one day. Why build anything on top of something that you're probably going to have to? I mean, coal mines are huge. You ever seen one? It's
Yeah. It, from looking at online, the diagramming, yeah, they're kind of endless, aren't they? I don't know how
Oh,
you can even, what technology you would even use to see how many coal veins or holes even down there. I don't know.
no, they have GPR, which is ground penetrating radar that goes down with that. That's only good for so long, much,
Mm.
and it only shows like certain density and stuff like that. It doesn't give you a picture; it just kind of shows you,
Yeah.
And then, and in my opinion, like, oh well, we have this and we can guess this, but really, till you get it, it's just a crapshoot. You don't know till you see it.
One of the theories was that the state got involved and they own the property now, that they're waiting for everyone to clear out. So when coal becomes popular again, they can excavate and make their
No,
money.
that's very
There's
well
probably
true.
millions,
Because if it's
dollars worth of
burning,
coal.
and that real estate, it could be high prime. They probably would exactly if it was built on top of it, right? They have to
Hmm.
buy them out anyways. It was the
Yeah.
best way to create
Yeah.
an artificial crisis.
Yeah.
Well, my mind's blown that they didn't just go ahead and evacuate everybody.
But
We
the
got
thing
that
is,
small town pride, Jorge.
if you
We
make
ain't
an
leaving.
evacuation,
You're not removing me from my property.
I don't care if there's fumes in my nose.
I like it.
I like it.
I like the way it makes me feel.
I mean, if you're saying that the kid about died with a sinkhole, I mean, that's pretty good incentive. I mean, if only 5 people live there, that means probably there's enough scare that no one's
Yeah.
probably should live there. So,
Yeah.
and if someone's going to benefit from it, it's not going to be anyone from that generation because
Yeah.
they still allow people to live there, still, right? So,
5 people.
yeah,
Yeah.
the
That's
five
really
most
funny,
sane
though.
people in the world.
5 years later, it might be 1. I don't know.
Looks like that kid's cousin is the one that pulled him out.
Okay.
Pulled him
Yeah.
out of the hole. Wow.
Kudos, cousin.
Yeah. Good thing they were at grandma's house.
Yeah.
Grandma's boy.
But
Yeah,
it's
that's where it happened.
it's a very tragic story, and I would love to go see that place. It'd be very cool. But yeah,
Maybe that's what we can do in the future.
Better make
Milkhouse
sure
can
you
go to
yeah.
Milkhouse can go to these landmarks and check them out and do full reports on them.
That
would be fun.
that's a
I'd do that.
long-term goal, but we'll do a little series on traveling to some of these spots.
Yeah.
I'd be totally down. We'll start with Dudley and see if we get past that.
Absolutely.
Dudley do, right?
So you don't need to clone any direwolf. We've got one.
Yeah,
We've
don't
got
worry
it in a
about
chokehold.
Very Connecticut.
So, do you think that even though obviously, I guess what started it was the trash, right? In the big,
Mhm.
like that's what started this whole thing.
Mhm.
I mean, do you think that this incident would have occurred even without it, or do you think that if the illegal dumping hadn't occurred, everything would have been perfectly
Well,
fine?
the fact that they burned it, they chose to consolidate the trash into an old strip mine, an abandoned strip mine. That was probably the issue.
Yeah.
Because it was already a dug mine and throwing all the trash in there. And my biggest thing, this is what is it, 19, what year was that?
Especially if you're burning, heat goes up, so you're going to burn everything above it. And
Yeah, 1962. It's like, why do you have so much trash? But I mean, if they don't have but
What do you mean?
well, what did they do with the trash all these years? Just throw them in a pile to get to that point. But yeah, I think it was caused by the
poor
improper
planning,
lining,
poor city planning.
Imagine a guy that was like, "Whoops."
We only got 1,300 people. We don't need a sanitation.
Man, it's a pretty small town.
Oh,
Don't worry about it.
yeah,
Pretty small town. We don't got to worry about nothing else. And just dump it in this hole.
done.
Been doing this for 100 years. You ain't even know you're 50 years old, Bill.
You're like, don't question my methods of disposing of trash.
Right.
Gosh.
All right. This has been episode 7 of Milkhouse Podcast. Please follow us and give us a like. We are on all major platforms, YouTube, Spotify. Please follow us and give us a like.
Bye.